All right, welcome everyone to a free solution. It's the internet version right now, not the full radio
Bonus
version.
content for
Bonus
our internet
content.
viewers.
Yep. So, folks, we're live tonight. If you're listening to the online version, we are live. We pre-record on Thursdays now for a Friday show for those of you who haven't been watching the last few weeks. And yeah, so it's our day. We'll do Fake News Friday. We got some state stuff, and of course, because you guys are listening online, you have to be up and checking this out at 9:00 at night on a Thursday. If you have other topics that you want to talk about, leave your comments. Happy to have that discussion with y'all.
These folks are they're getting doubly exposed to the freedom variant today.
Double exposed.
Double exposure to the freedom variant.
Tim, you're gonna need a quarantine.
I might quarantine myself for a couple days just for the heck of it.
It's for fun.
We don't want it to sweep too quickly through society. We want it to be measured.
There we go. Flatten the curve. There we go.
Flatten the curve. That's right. See, I am picking up on the government lingo. You're doing a great job, buddy.
There we go. Now we got it down. We got all the language down. All right. So, well, let's start at 2 minutes. We'll do the actual show. Again, thanks, folks, who are joining us for the live version of this. Hope you enjoy. All right. Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor,
who is slightly under the weather with perhaps what could be the freedom variant. I'm not feeling my best, Kevin, but I am going to bear down through this show and offer words of wisdom to you young kids and the people out there that simply don't understand freedom.
I appreciate you doing that. Just like famous broadcaster Chris Cuomo, you also are powering through. Like I'm sure he's your inspiration, and is what's getting you through this.
That hurt. That actually hurt a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. All right, so folks, thanks for joining us here on whether you're listening on WYSL, WACK out in New York, or our friends listening online. The Free Solution Facebook page, the group, the YouTube channel, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Tim pages, wherever you're listening today. Thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all joining us for this discussion. So of course, and it's Fake News Friday today, but we got a ton to talk about, not just the freedom variant here. We're going to talk about the state of the state, which I know you covered on yesterday's show a little bit.
I was a little jaded yesterday. Imagine that. Like I felt bad, kind of. I feel like the state of New York State may not be that good. I feel like that.
Maybe not. I mean, what do we have? Like the largest exodus of any state
in the history of the world ever. Like going back to ancient Mesopotamia, Kevin, never has any state lost as many people as New York State did with its rigorous COVID rules and enforcement. 350,000 people have left New York. The population dropped. Now, we were losing population in relation to the rest of the country for a couple of decades, but this is 350,000 less people in New York right now.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's interesting about that is that what was happening before is we're losing like kind of similar numbers before, but you could sort of make it up on on immigration, right? Like, so the only reason the city of Rochester hasn't shrank a bunch is because we get enough like immigrants where like it's a thing, but with it being harder to come into the country because of all the COVID stuff and all the restrictions on travel, you're not getting that. So, it's more obvious now how many people are leaving New York State.
I mean, this is a, what do they call it? Anecdotal evidence. But anecdotal evidence is evidence, Kevin. I want you to understand that. I know at least 10 people that lived in New York State in 2020 that are gone from New York State now. At least 10. And I mean, I'm pretty popular and I know a lot of people, but that still seems like a pretty high number.
Yeah, I mean, the owners of my previous company, they just moved down to South Carolina too, in part because of school issues too, which I've heard from a lot of folks are just like, hey, in other states, like it's just easier for kids to stay in school. The rules aren't as strict. You're not like masking kids as young. there are all sorts of reasons for people to go, in addition to the taxes and I don't know, maybe the snow for some people, but it doesn't. A lot of people seem to tolerate and put up with the snow for a long time, for many decades. Now suddenly, New York State policy finally gets them.
Yeah, well, there's less snow this year, so that I don't know if that's it.
So far.
So far, it is
So
supposed to
far.
snow in my area tonight.
Well, in Buffalo, they were supposed to get like 18 inches. I don't think they ended up getting that much, but we're supposed to get some of that on the edge here in Rochester. But lake effect snow, like, are we gonna get 6 feet? We gonna get like a dusting? Who knows? I don't know.
Could be either one, and occasionally that lake effect snow makes it all the way down to Otsego County, and we have a blast with it. We'll have like 36 inches in Maryland, New York, and 12 inches in Cherry Valley, and they're like 15 miles apart. So it definitely, those bands of snow. And guys, we'll do the weather. We'll do weather predictions.
Well,
We'll do
apparently,
anything
that's
to keep your interest on
whatever.
Friday.
Is that the quality content that we're going after? Is it weather discussions now?
Well,
Yeah,
why not?
why
I
not?
don't know. Like,
I mean,
maybe
it's
that will
important.
help.
Governor Cuomo said people were leaving because of weather. Like that, nothing else is the weather. Just that's why people are going to Florida.
That is a positive thing that I didn't really talk about enough on the show yesterday, was that Cuomo is gone, but now he's been replaced by a kinder, gentler, even more authoritarian. So I'm not like, she's a lot nicer about it. So that's good. I feel
as
better.
long as she's being nice about
Yeah.
it, then like, oh yeah, sure, you can oppress it. Yeah, these terrible policies. Like, well,
No
at least you're not
worries.
being a jerk. Cuomo's a jerk.
And he grabs fannies. Let's be honest. That guy's like, yeah, yeesh, oof.
Allegedly.
All the charges were dropped.
They're all
there
dropped.
you go. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along, Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, they didn't
charges
say
have been
anything.
dropped.
So we can't just throw out accusations like that. He was
right.
accused. He was alleged to have done these things.
He may have got penalized that $5.1 million though for his book deal. That would,
yeah.
I hope he's going to fight for that. He'll probably win that case too.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about how Kathy Hochul is our great libertarian governor. Like, what is Larry Sharp even running for? She's going to legalize to-go booze. Like, what more do we need?
That was going to be mine, bro. Like, holy cow. The state of the state is you can walk up to a bar, pay $10 for a drink, and walk away with it. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah,
Win.
no, we're gonna go back to that. So yeah, no, like we guys, the libertarian movement has won. Just pack it up, ladies and gentlemen. We're done.
It's a token of appeasement.
We got like maybe sort of kind of legal weed eventually, and in to go drinks. Like that's the whole goal of the movement, I'm told.
I still look at the weed thing and I'm just like, all right, the freedom variant says that's not freedom enough for me, man. Like, people are going to be in trouble for tax evasion if they're starting to do a little homegrown. Like, guys, you can't do it. Okay, you can't do it. You can't grow your own. Not that that's going to stop my redneck buddies who want to have weed. Okay, I don't care. Like, fly your helicopters over. They've already had you outsmarted for decades. Doesn't matter. Okay, but I think tax evasion is more serious than weed possession. What do you think about that?
Government needs their cut.
They do. They do, man. They do. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
that's what they're all about, brother.
No matter what. Did you see any of that stuff about the IRS? You still have to report your income from like stolen goods and property. And
oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, they're here for us, guys.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Illicit gains from stolen property, you have to report that stuff,
or criminal things. If you're selling drugs, you gotta make sure you give the government your cut.
Now, do you think that? Do you think you have to declare that as a drug dealer? Like, is that a code? Drug dealer, illegal illicit substance seller?
It probably is.
Yeah, construction gets a code, right? When you have your own business, that you got to punch in so they know roughly what kind of work you're doing.
Yeah.
And look, guys, like Shelley makes a good point there, right?
It says they caught gangsters with tax evasion. Well, who'd they get with that? Who's the famous guy? Al Capone?
Al Capone was one, yeah, for sure.
He's running, booze, but they got, Does our taxes qualify as stolen property? Is the government paying taxes on their taxes? Theft on their theft? Theft on theft on theft?
They are not. They are not. They're not. They're not.
Yeah. No, but so among a bunch of stuff in Governor Hochul's piece, there's a couple good things. Most of that stuff where it's like kind of what we're used to with Democrats: big promises of big programs. They're gonna save us all. We're gonna support small businesses. We're gonna support everyone. We're gonna do it all, type of thing.
Yeah,
Although there's like I said, a couple things like with the booze thing's cool.
yeah,
I think it makes sense. There wasn't a significant increase in traffic accidents or anything. People were generally like, okay, like this is not any worse than what we were doing before, and people can
right.
just leave. And then other stuff too. It's interesting. Like she's backing down like the eviction moratorium stuff. Or she was for a minute there. I don't know if she's gonna follow through on that. If she's gonna get
She's
pressured to
going to
keep
help
doing it.
landlords and renters.
Oh, she's gonna help both now. All
Both,
right.
yeah, she's going to help landlords and renters. So, guys, when they speak in platitudes like this, we don't know what the end result is gonna be. My guess is she is not going to help renters, nor is she going to help landlords. But
It's just gonna
that's
be
just a guess.
worse for both. Great,
Yeah,
cool.
that's just a guess, guys, based on 50 years of some semi-awareness in New York State of the state of the state of New York State.
All right. So, all right. Well, we're running out of time for this segment here, but thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for listening today with Kevin Wilson and Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. Talk to you soon.
Boom, double exposure to our Facebook friends. Oh, I probably screwing your editing up.
Screwed it all up, Tim. So
Ah,
that's all right. No, there'll be a slight pause. I'll figure it out.
okay.
You guys get this bonus content. Speaking of bonus content too, I did release like a bonus episode. If anyone listened to like just the radio broadcast, maybe I'll say this in the actual show too, of the guy I interviewed Wednesday. He stayed on. We talked for a while longer, and I released that as like a second episode of the podcast.
I was
Um,
I was busy. I want to check out what he was saying, right? Like I heard a little bit of it, and then the truck shows up, and I got to go check stuff in, blah blah blah. Like
oh
doing
man,
my freaking job. It's
yeah,
annoying,
like
so annoying.
why can't they just pay you and like have you just like mess around and like listen to the radio all day? That's
Well, somebody should pay me for being a radio host. That's how I feel right
I know, right?
now.
No, but it was a good Scott. Didn't end up getting into like much of the like kind of policy and the house stuff really until the end because we just
Yeah,
started talking about like some of the other stuff going on, and he had interesting stories where it's like he kind of said that he had seen like things like like a Pakistani intelligence service will like go and try to pretend to be like a Black Lives Matter page, and it's not about like the content of what they say or what like a lot of people say on there. It's
right.
about like, hey, this is sketchy. Like someone is misrepresenting this with the goal of causing division and disruption in the United States, and that's something that social media companies should want to, not have happen on their platform. So
You would think that they wouldn't want that to happen on their platform, but they're so busy sowing division and problems themselves that perhaps they may be too busy to actually do any real investigation.
yeah,
I feel bad that I said that right on Facebook, but
I
I don't
know,
think
right?
they won't ban us for that, will they?
And our stream's just gonna suddenly shut down.
That would be epic. I would be so proud.
Yeah, no, but like so my friend Sahar, he worked at Facebook. Like that was his job, was like figuring that stuff out. He was on like the
Yeah.
civics integrity team, and he's like the stuff you see in the US like relatively mild, like the stuff you see overseas, like just on a whole other level of like weird wild stuff going on, like bot armies, like actual calls to violence, whole
Wow.
bunch of stuff.
That's so bad.
Yeah. So, all right, we should go back and do the actual show though.
Okay. I agree.
So 15 minutes, then we'll go to 27.
All right. Sounds good.
12-minute segment. Talk about the state of the state.
The state of the state of the state of New York State.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Do 5 seconds dead air. Help me out. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. And
Right.
we're talking about the state of the state stuff today. And, Now, what's good, what's bad in there? I know you were fired up about it. We haven't had a chance to like talk.
Talk me off the ledge, Kevin. You know, you got to bring me down. Like, so look, guys, $1 billion of property tax one-time cuts, or no, excuse me, rebates, credits. Okay, so
Rebates.
gonna mail you a check this year, like $1 billion divided like for 2 million eligible people. So what is it, like $1,000 each? Thanks. All right, thanks. Okay, like you know what your property taxes are. You know what they're doing to people with a lot of land, especially former farming communities. They're taking it and saying, well, you're not doing enough farming, and they're tripling the freaking property tax on it. It's going on all over the place. But don't worry, Kathy's got you. And look, this was a rant from mine yesterday. They're going to divide it up to appease their special interest groups. I think. I don't think it's going to be $1,000 for
No.
every property tax owner. It's going to be $107 for Kevin, $12 for Tim, and like $7,000 for somebody near Westchester or some nonsense like that. I'm just saying. That's how it always works.
I suspect maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm predicting the future right now. The freedom variant predicts the future.
We'll see if that's right. We'll see. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
really
shocked that you would think that like New York State would do something like that and look out for their buddies, not for everyone. But
shocked, I say. Shocked. Well, she's really. Oh, there's another one I caught her saying, like, all right, well, it's definitely not 3 men in the room anymore making decisions. It's 2 men and a woman right
now.
Right now.
That's so much better.
That is
thank goodness. We have an oligarchy, but at least there's a woman there now.
It could be 2 women and 1 man. I'm not quite sure like exactly how it breaks down.
As long as we get like the gender and racial balance right, like they can oppress us all they want.
Good news, everybody. Good news. That's it, because political correctness is what's going to save this state. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah. Is it Hochul or Hochul?
I thought it was Hochul.
Yeah.
I'm like pretty sure it's Hochul.
Okay, I don't know why the other way slips out.
We gotta, I don't know, like this is an audio medium. We actually gotta pronounce things right. One of us is wrong, and it's the internet, so people will be super polite about correcting us. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So all right, so let's talk about a couple of the other things. So so we got our tax relief stuff. All right, cool. Yay. Tax relief for small businesses too, whatever that ends up being. A few $1 billion, $10 billion to rebuild and grow the healthcare workforce.
All right.
$4 billion in wages, bonuses, encouraging career. I mean,
can I just jump in for a second? I have a friend of a friend. Okay, so this is again an anecdote, okay? But they're taking National Guard people that are healthcare professionals, calling them up and moving them to a different hospital, away from the hospital that they already work in New York State. Like, did nobody listen to us? Did nobody listen to Larry? Did nobody listen to me? Did nobody listen to you when we said that that's how that was going to work? Nobody.
It's about looking like you're doing something. It's not about actually solving the problem.
Do something, even if it's wrong, especially if it's wrong in New York State. Do it.
As long as it makes a good photo op. That's exactly like, hey, look at us taking action.
Some federal help flew in from somewhere.
Yeah.
Fly in the nurses from federal government.
Yeah, I know. It's still like it's a frank, like for the Rochester area, one of the local hospitals, they're shutting down their emergency room for the day. Yeah. Because they're just overwhelmed. Basically, like unless like the patient won't make it to another place, like they'll turn them away. So and it's
okay. That's
great. Lots of storages. Again, it's for a few different reasons, but
they can't just wipe a little National Guard on that and keep it open for a couple hours.
Apparently
rub
not.
It in a little. That's not how it works.
Guess weird. Not.
Weird. It was like not just me. Okay, lots of people who have clear minds, sane hearts, and bright eyes said that's not going to work, Kathy. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's okay. That's what we're going to do. No problem.
Yeah, but hey, we'll see. Maybe few billion in wages, few billion in encouraging people to join the healthcare workforce now that people have either left for a number of reasons,
Any number of
burnout,
reasons.
whatever, any number of
The
reasons.
weather.
Yeah, the weather, because it's too snowy, so you don't want to be a nurse anymore. That's it.
Or they do, and they don't want to be a nurse in New York State anymore for whatever various reason.
Yeah,
I can imagine about 17. Also, the traveling nurse program, guys, is really it's a great program because we need nurses, but it's tapped out. Okay. And people are leaving nursing to go into the traveling nurse program because they make like
big crazy money in that.
3 times
Yeah,
as much.
like, well, why wouldn't you, right? Like, because it isn't just in New York, right? It's a thing that's going on in a few other places too, right? And it's like, well, they can't get enough staffing, so they need to hire traveling nurses, and you make 3-4 times even more as much as you would on like a normal salary. All right, so like quit your job, go do that for a bit, and
Retire.
you know. So yeah, I know people who've done that. It's
Yeah.
they're like especially if they're younger, they don't have families. Like, yeah, I could go live in another state for a while, like make a ton of money, save up, and
Yeah.
be good.
But then they get like 2, 3 weeks off straight. So one of my friends
Yeah,
has a family. He did it. He's like, hey, I don't really need this job. I'm gonna go be a traveling nurse, and I'm gonna travel 1 week and be home 1 week, and travel 1 week and be home 1 week.
and
And
still
I'm like,
make just as much, maybe sometimes even more than before, right? And
I think probably his take home for the month would be slightly higher as a traveling nurse working 2 weeks than it is. It's some sort of crazy differential, man. It's
yeah,
crazy.
well, so let's see, few billion for that, few billion for let's see, looks like some transit, a few billion for small businesses to help with tax credits for COVID related expenses, a few billion for broadband.
We need
So
broadband. That is honestly, wow. I don't know how we've talked about broadband. We need
I
more
know.
broadband everywhere. And guys, if it takes 7 miles of fiber optic cable to get one farm dude the internet at high speeds, it's just what's right, guys. That's what we've
Yeah,
got to
dude.
do. And
Internet's a human right.
don't worry
It's,
about Elon Musk and his star guide or whatever's coming down the pipe. Don't worry about any of that. Don't worry about it. Let's get this fiber optics hanging from poles. That's it. Let's do it.
yeah, feel good to get that technology that who knows if it'll be obsolete
I,
in 10 years.
well, we can
Probably will
marry
be
it
out a
like
little
we've
bit.
married roads, right? We could say,
Yeah.
no, fiber optics is the only way that we can get internet. That's it. And make laws about it, just like we've done with roads, because that's the
Right.
only way it can go from place to place is the government supplying us with roads. So that's it. It's easy, guys. Once we break it down to we're stuck here forever, technological innovation is done. We make laws to back up the businesses that are in place. That's
Yeah,
it.
you're like half joking, but like it's
I'm not.
totally like a thing that could happen
I'm
where
not.
they ban like the way Elon Musk and some other folks are trying to set up internet, because there's already a collision, I guess, with
I'm
Elon
not.
Musk, one of his satellites, and like a I think it was either a Chinese or a Russian like satellite. And so they're like, oh, well, like this could cause a collision, and and well, it did, and then spread debris, and so maybe they'll
Terrified.
ban it.
They probably will. This could be so dangerous. Government's job is keeping us safe, bro.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
That's
all right.
their
So
job.
let's read the comment. Shelly says broadband's down on the radar because they finally had to notice upstate New York.
People want
Um,
it, Kevin. They do,
I
and
know,
I
I know
get
they
it,
want it.
and I
Well,
get it.
it's interesting. Like when back when I was doing like organizing for like a very well known conservative nonprofit in like 2012 in New York State, like the number one issue when people like Claudia Tenney were running for office, when she was running for state assembly, was like the people in her district, they were talking. I wasn't working for her or anything, but around there where I was doing some work, they would talk about broadband. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to spend government money. And they're like, I don't care. Broadband. Like we need internet here. Like, and it's wild though. Like, especially back then, you didn't get cell service in some of these areas, driving through like that weirdly shaped district that she used to be in.
That District 51 was the weirdest shaped district ever. I
Yeah.
traveled the whole thing though to try to get elected for New York State Senate. I traveled the whole thing. It's like goes I don't know. It goes almost to Westchester County, all the way down to Ulster County, and then it goes all the
Yeah.
way up to like Cortland County, and then all the way out to Cortland County, then all the way up to Herkimer County. To like some sort of slice travels through Herkimer County. It's literally bizarre.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre. It's very strangely
Bizarre, man.
shaped gerrymandered district. And I'm sure with the, independent redistricting commission putting out 2 separate plans, not coming to a consensus and putting it out for the legislature, we're totally not gonna get that again.
I don't know why they didn't just hire Dr. Mark Brayman. You guys heard me lay out his plan. You heard him lay out his plan. It would be done. It would be as close to the Constitution as New York can offer, and it would be fair, right? It would be fair. And they, whatever, clowns, just clowns.
Clowns. Why aren't they listening, Tim? Gosh darn it.
I know. I need to be a threat somehow. What I need is like millions of dollars, an incredible amount of popularity, and they do steal my ideas, and they steal your ideas, and they steal Larry's ideas. So that at least we've got that going for us. They just don't commit to them.
You see, they can take it all they want. So the problem is when people run on the ideas and then don't actually do it. That's the
Correct.
thing that bugs me.
Which happens pretty regular.
Yeah. All right. So, my goodness, I don't know.
Do we lose track of time?
No. We got like 40 seconds. I'm trying to think like what else do we want to talk about the state of state. I know we had a few other things that we want to get today. Again, if you're listening, online too, leave your comments. Appreciate all the comments that you guys have left so far. Thank you so much for being here today. You still awake, Tim? You're old. Facebook user says.
I know.
All right. So with that comments, Tim needs to take a quick nap for unrelated reasons for sure. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
The freedom variant stays up. It's the freedom variant. I can't wait to dump my fake news on you, man. I can't wait for everybody out there to hear this fake news. I'm not even, it's literally hilarious. And then you're gonna have to decide whether it's real or fake, but it's epic.
All right.
Do you want to do the Rogan podcast stuff next? A little bit on that, or you want to keep going with the state of the state? Because we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, we can maybe like a couple more things, So
Okay.
we'll see what it is. Like it's a lot of mixed stuff. There's like, oh, here's like a small nugget of good news and a bunch of like what'll certainly be terrible policy.
All right, let's do it, man.
We'll go back at 28.
All right.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Me and Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. Whether you're listening on WYSL, WACK out in Newark, or all of our friends listening online right now. Thanks, folks, for listening. We got Logic out there, Jim, Shelley, all sorts of folks. Thank you for being here today. And we're talking about the state of the state stuff. It's a lot of. It's like so here's what I like. It's like, okay, we're gonna like work on ways to make sure that like we legalize accessory dwelling units for single family neighborhoods. Cool, but then it's gonna be a whole bunch of subsidies for a bunch of stuff, transit and affordable housing stuff. It's
zoning destroyed Oneonta in New York. Okay, like you could see it. Like they wanted less college students. They didn't want this whole issue of Airbnbs taking over. So they increased the zoning regulations, and they say, well, no more than 3 unrelated individuals. And then guess what, man? The entire town is only Airbnb and college students, and no one wants the affordable housing crisis in upstate New York, in all over New York probably, was created by the government and by zoning and by bad policy. And no one listened to me then, and no one listens to me now.
I wasn't listening to any of that. No, just I zoned out for like
I don't blame you.
Sorry, were you talking?
I'm ranting.
No. No, but no, it's the zoning policies, like, and most of it happens at the town level. Like this one's interesting. Again, I'd like to see more of that, like, or at least like change the incentives around like building density in areas where it makes sense, right? Like, occasionally you get these like goofy projects that get subsidized by a state, and we're like, all right, we're gonna build like a 20-story apartment building in the middle of nowhere, and like, what? That's not okay. Like, sure, it's sort of density, but like that's not really how you build a walkable neighborhood. It's just building a random. I mean, they did that in my neighborhood too. Like, it's like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of single family houses, and then bam, 10-story building.
So what they
Which is-
did in Oneonta was take city property that had been used as a parking lot for a couple generations and gave it to a big developer because the taxes. So they changed zone. Okay, they changed zoning so this guy could come in and build his units with one parking spot per unit. Okay, which I had to change zoning to do that. Okay, and then they gave him land, they gave him other subsidies, and now all the little businesses that were around this parking lot are like, "You guys are treating me like crap. Like you can't do this," and they're like, "Don't worry about it." So they sued him, and the judge said, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. This is great. The government should be building houses and participating in the building of houses and giving away land and doing these sorts of and changing zoning
I
because
mean,
that's what's right. We got to solve.
giving away land, not great. Abolishing parking minimums, I'm all about that. Abolish them.
No, I get it, right? I get it. But they've hurt the real property owners who would rent to. What I'm trying to point out is that they would rent affordably to people that would take care of the property. Okay,
Yeah.
they would trade that off. Okay, but because of zoning, that's impossible now. People can't make, and because of code enforcement and because of New York State rights for tenants, those things have made that impossible. The government destroyed affordable housing, cooperative housing. They did it, and they're traveling down the road at 100 miles an hour. They're just going to keep going.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. And just about to read this one from Alice. Who says, schools.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, we're on. Talking about like schools getting raised in taxes, kids didn't go to school, local officials not really opening town halls and all that stuff. I do want to mention the school thing because that was part of the state of the state too, where like, oh well, we're gonna try to get more teachers in the school. All right. Cool. Like that's also part of the problem, right? It's like a lot of teachers. I mean, there's staffing shortages, right? But some of that's like people don't want to live in the state more. Some of that's like just issues with like unions and worries about, not going to school. Like Rochester City School District shut down this week in part because they were just like worried and the teachers union was threatening, like some sort of action. I don't know what exactly if they didn't go to remote learning, which in some ways hurts the kids, but also the school didn't actually have the ability to get kids to school. They're like, we can't actually get the kids on the buses in time, and they're all going to be 2 hours late for school.
Norwich, Norwich, New York just went through the same thing, Kevin. You've been in Norwich, right? You're familiar with Shenango County, right? So they just went through the same thing. But I'm going to tell you this. They did something that made me happy. They're like, look, we can't staff the school. We can't get kids here. But coaches, keep your sports going. What do you say? Guys, you can have the gym whenever you want now. There's going to be no classes in there. Do your thing with the kids to keep them healthy. I'm very happy about that. Like it's a little glimmer of hope.
It'd be nice. I mean, if we get little things going back to normal, that would be that'd be great. And things for kids to get out and be active are nice too.
They're important.
Yeah.
That's why my kid goes to school, man. He doesn't go. He would stay at home and do online learning. The only reason he goes is to do his sports. He likes his baseball and he likes his wrestling, and so that's it, man. If they didn't have those things, he'd be like, "See you later, suckers."
That's the social activity, right? Like it's a lot of unique ways to learn. I don't know. It was like that. Like I would do my homework like 30 seconds before class every day, type of thing, and then like sleep through. Like I was like one of those guys, but like. Yeah, I wanted to play sports. I played, soccer and volleyball and whatever.
Yeah,
it
kept me behaving. Like they could kick me off basketball. Not that I was a great basketball player, but they could kick me off soccer if they had a lever over me to keep me behaving. And I've always been, whatever. I wasn't the best student. I was really I did reasonably well on their tests, so they couldn't just hide me in a corner. But that's it.
Yeah. Alice says we used to do social sports outside with neighbors too. We don't need the government to do sports. We don't.
That is a good point.
Yeah, you can do them outside. I happen to do that. School sports. But before I moved to New York, like all the sports were organized through like a private organization on the military base I lived on. So I never did any like school sports. But yeah, it was like the equivalent of like ASO type of thing, like for soccer and basketball and whatnot. But someone asked a question. pull up there, but the are we associated with like Learn Liberty? No, but we have had someone from that channel on our show before. So who what's her name? Lauren, Dr. Lauren Hall, who was on the show talking about birth, actually, because I had her on right before or right after I had my wife had our son, and we talked about like access to like alternatives to hospital birth and like why the bureaucracy around that. So super interesting stuff. I show up on another like NPR show with her frequently.
Nice.
Because there's 3 libertarians in Rochester, so like who you gonna
You and okay, well, congratulations.
yeah. No. We got a few more. You have to take off your socks to count the libertarians now.
All right. It's growing, guys. It is growing, guys. And look, I always get frustrated when I see people that think like libertarians and they won't commit to the Libertarian Party. But you know what? I understand that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I get it. But we get guys like JP Sears that he's hilarious and he does a great job mocking the absurdity of our current dystopia, right? But he's not endorsing candidates. I get it. He's got to make his money.
Yeah, I suppose so. No, oh man, we totally ran out of time for like the other thing we were gonna talk. We got like 90 seconds to talk about like the Joe Rogan stuff.
All right. The biggest thing I want to say about it, Kevin, is that it's a phenomenon. 90 million people have watched 2 3-hour podcasts. 90 million dwarfs the viewership of CNN, and people are hungry for that kind of information.
No, like the old like news network stuff, it's just not, pulling the numbers anymore. And yeah, Joe Rogan, he's a cultural force, like him or not, and I know a bunch of people are mad at him for various reasons I don't always understand. Like he seems like a genuinely curious, like thoughtful guy most of the time, but the point is you guys need to share our podcast because we're not quite pulling down those numbers yet. Like, so if you wouldn't mind liking and sharing this video so we can like get a little bit closer to them Joe Rogan numbers.
Oh, that's great. Did we time check?
Oh no, we got like 30 seconds. So
right.
that was my call to action to end this segment. And next we're gonna do Fake News Friday. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. And that's 10 seconds. That's good enough.
Right, beautiful.
No, I'll get that. So for some folks just joining us, because I see some folks that I don't recognize in here. This is Natural Radio Show.
Yeah, this is great.
But this is the online section. This stuff doesn't go out on the radio. But we got one more 12-minute segment after this that'll go out on WYSL and WACK. And our
podcast.
And the podcast too. Yeah. Which I put the radio version on the podcast. So look for A Free Solution anywhere you're able to find that.
We're semi-famous, and people have called me and said, "Are you the radio host?" And people have reached out to the guests that I've had on and said, "I heard you on A Free Solution with Tim O'Connor." So it's kind of cool, right?
That's neat.
We're having some impact, brother. We're having some impact.
Yeah, no, I think the only time like anyone's ever recognized me as like a radio guy, recognize me, right? Is like I was talking with a local libertarian bar owner's mom. And he's like, "Oh my goodness, are you the one on WYSL?"
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, that actually. Congratulations, you're my like first fan. No.
You're my favorite radio host.
Yeah, I was like, all right, that's kind of neat. Yeah. Oh, let's say I don't know. Do we want to talk about any questions before we do?
No, because really the Freedom Variant is a little bit under the weather, so he would like to. And guys, I'm loving the comments, and we appreciate them for real. But I do got to get to bed because somebody said I'm old. You're right, I'm old, and I don't feel good tonight.
Yeah. No, we probably shouldn't keep Tim up past his bedtime. Normally goes to bed at 4:30 p.m. and we've kept him up.
That's correct.
All right, we'll go back at 40.
All right.
All right, it's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim, the free and very own Connor, here to talk about some fake news items. All right, Tim, I know you had
Chomping at
some,
the
right?
bit, Kevin. I've got one. It's gonna be really interesting. Okay, and so maybe I made it up because you guys know I have incredible ability to make things up. Also, you guys might have heard that I don't have cable, and so you're gonna see one of the reasons why I don't have cable right here. So 90-day fiance Stephanie Motto stopped selling farts after experiencing health issues. Stops selling farts after experiencing serious health issues. You think
Uh,
that's fake news, Kevin? You want it to be fake, don't you?
oh my goodness, the internet's a thing. I believe that someone was in fact trying to sell their farts. People sell all sorts of weird stuff on the internet. The health issues, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's real though.
Okay, you're right, and that is unfortunate, right? So 90-day fiancés, I don't even know what this show is, okay, but
I don't know.
this Stephanie Matto, and this is in Entertainment Today. I mean, they tell basically the truth about stars. They may do some exaggerating, but basically, she was selling parts. She's also made over $200,000 in revenue, um,
Is
or
that
so she
it?
claims. Now she had to stop selling parts because she was eating a lot of beans and a lot of high protein, and to really get those,
Working too hard.
you work it too
That's
hard.
that's
She honestly, and this is from the article, she thought she was having a stroke and that she was in her final moments. She told Jam Press, "I was overdoing it." So she's she's retired from selling parts, ladies and gentlemen, and she's gonna donate some of
it's
her. I'm not making any of this up. I wish I was. She's gonna donate some of her money to like gastric research institutes.
oh
So
man. So now it's a limited supply. It's a rare item. The value's
bid it,
gone up.
bid it up, boys and
That's
girls.
we're about to learn about supply and demand. This is someone's entry into economics.
Well,
So like
that's
we all got to
yeah.
start somewhere.
My first thought was stop farting so much, just charge more money for the farts that you're willing to produce. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. Exactly. Like
It's
again,
simple.
it's supply and demand. Like you don't need to overproduce yourself. Just to
Yeah. It's
oh
it's a
my
movie
goodness,
apparently. 90-Day
it's a
Fiance
movie.
is a movie. Thank you, Shelley. I would have never known
Don't
that.
know. Yes, I
Oop.
don't follow any of this stuff, but my goodness, y'all weird out there. All right, I'm gonna give you a headline, and you're just gonna tell me what they mean by this.
Oh, I'm good at this.
It's so new U.S. dietary guidelines include babies and toddlers for the first time. Now, Tim, is this an
Okay, yeah.
article about
Well,
eating babies and toddlers as part of a balanced diet,
I
or
think that there are in society and social media still problems with punctuation. Now, I mean, let's break this down because I think that if we, you know what, I can't even do it, man. I just can't even do it. It's probably just a poorly worded headline. I can't
yeah,
make jokes about eating babies. I'm not even gonna try.
no,
Not gonna do it. So
yeah,
I was
so
close. I almost jumped off that ledge.
almost, yeah, good job, yeah, good, good job not getting us canceled. Thanks,
No.
Tim.
Yep. Woo!
Um,
That was close.
yeah, no, that's so CNN has now rewritten this headline to mean that they are including recommendations for babies and toddlers in their diets. They are not recommending that you include babies and toddlers as part of your diet. Um,
They're not recommending that. You're saying
they are not.
they're against
No,
that.
neither the
Okay.
the U.S. government nor CNN, as far as I'm aware, are recommending those things.
Okay.
But
All right.
every
So
once in a while, I'd
it
see a
did it
headline like,
did yes, it did sound like they were recommending eating babies and toddlers for sure, but I'm glad that they were and guys, look, the food pyramid, that was a scam, all right? Like that you need to do your own research even on what food you eat, man. I'm not
yeah,
kidding. These guys are crazy. So whoever bought access to this study or whatever, they decided what babies and toddlers should eat. And they probably just so happen to sell baby and toddler recommended food.
So yeah, well, I don't know about that. Like they do recommend stuff that's like reasonable, right? Like, you shouldn't have um a whole bunch of sugar, right? Like, all right, reasonable stuff. I'll say like some of the like the baby formula stuff like is a bit frustrating. There's not many companies that sell it, not many that can sell it.
Mhm,
It's super expensive for what is not like actually that expensive of a product to produce. They regulate the
mhm,
heck out of it.
mhm.
Like so like if you're a family that needs to use that stuff, like it's really tough to be able to afford that if you are like kind of just above that line of qualifying for assistance for that stuff, right?
Yeah. I did work on a baby food plant, and it was a place the actual job that they did at this plant was making those, the enzymes that they put into baby food. So, they had labs, right, of like, first of all, everybody had to wear a white coat. It was kinda cool, like, but they had labs full of beakers that were just shaking slowly, and so that the enzymes would break out of the milk. It was really interesting, and then they take that and they put it in baby food, like the best part of the milk. I don't know.
All right, so they
They
like get like the whey protein stuff out of it, and they get the yeah,
Yeah, but it
try to
was
remove
even
some
more
of the
right,
lactose or yeah.
but the way that they reduced it to down to the enzyme that they wanted was like days worth of just shaking large beakers of milk.
Huh.
That's serious. It's pretty neat. So, and it's you see it on your baby food. It's one of those brain enzymes. Like they make it right here in over in Delaware County.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
See, you learn
Yeah.
so. The Freedom variant has lots of information.
You no,
Trivia.
you're full of experience and knowledge,
Bro,
Tim. That's why
I
I
was
learn
like
this stuff.
when Trivial Pursuit came out, my friends hated me because I'd be like, I'd answer the questions almost all the time. That's
Probably
crazy.
clean up at bar trivia if that's allowed anymore. But
Yeah, Joe, I when I'm in a bar, I'm drinking beer, man. You don't want me
yo,
playing.
you're not a bar trivia player. That's
I would make up answers in the bar. People would be like, "Yeah, he's right," and then they would hate me because I just made up an answer.
right. So if you got points for convincing people that you're right rather than actually being right, then that's
I
all
can,
right. There we
yes,
go. That's it. What
a special
but
skill.
anyone listen to this bar? That's a fun bar game, like invented, by Tim. But
I know,
yeah. So let's see. What other news do we got to talk about? Man, we didn't talk about like any of the Capitol riot stuff too, like say anniversary of that type of stuff, which is it's so I'll say this like when that first happened, right? I was like, oh man, like this is awful, and it's still like it's not a great thing. Like I don't think it's a good thing to go and like make a mess of the Capitol building. I don't particularly like that.
right?
So, but it's interesting like that. Like some of the news maybe got a bit overplayed with it, by which I mean like they're like, oh, like look at all these police officers, Capitol police officers who died from this. And I was like, oh, and at first I'm like, wow, that's really shocking that like all these police officers died. But it turns out most of the ones who died like did not die as a direct result of that incident. But the way all the news stories are framed were like that they were. And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't I'm a little uneasy with like how the coverage went with that and the lack of correction on, the news
It,
stories around it.
the narrative survives to this day, and it's something that I've talked about several times. The zeitgeist. When someone seizes the zeitgeist, the first lie wins. It's an absolute reality. And so the officer Sicknick did not get assaulted, did not, he died of a brain aneurysm, a pre-existing condition. I heard about it. I caught it on CNN 2 days after that. And then the whole thing, the narrative disappeared. I'm like, what? People are telling me that this guy got and he didn't, and I heard it on CNN. I was in
Yeah, like I made a mistake of like kind of trusting someone says like, wow, man, that like this police officer died. They're like, that's horrible. Like that someone would like
it
do
is.
that. And again, like there's some people being absolute jerks who like went there intending to hurt people. Like, yeah, it's not to totally clear the people being, morons there. But
And look,
the yeah.
they still didn't catch that fed guy. That fed guy still isn't up on charges anywhere. That Ray whatever, Blotzo or whatever his name is. I can't remember. See
No,
if I can find it.
no, but
He's running around instigating instigating the insurrection.
Yeah,
So
and so someone posted a comment about like the Ashley Babbitt thing too, which is again terrible. Like she died, and again, I that's a tough situation for police officers to be in,
yeah,
right? And I try to have some sympathy for someone who's terrified that like this person may go through and try to like attack someone that you're charged with protecting. At the same
yeah.
time, I find it a bit gross that like a bunch of news stories started coming out recently, but oh look at her like violent past, blah blah. I'm like, okay, like we don't need to do that.
They're so
It's
classless, Kevin. They're so classless. They literally will do anything for attention.
you know.
That's the reality. That's why you guys should hang out with me and Kevin and Larry on Tuesdays a little bit more often because, well, we might do anything for it, but now we won't. I don't know. First of all, I won't make jokes about eating babies. I can promise you that.
Well, we draw the line somewhere.
That's
Gosh
right.
darn it.
That's right.
No, and yeah, that's but I try to like again, I don't always get this stuff right. I look this stuff, I was like, wow, no, like this is like a shocking thing, and I guess it still was. I'm curious to see if anything comes out about like the intentional organization around the Trump administration. If there's something to it, yeah, cool. If they're trying to like actually disrupt the peaceful transition of power, that's worth talking about and examining and figuring out like if we want to trust these people again. But
Okay, but I already don't trust the Congress and the Senate anyway. So
no, you probably
like,
shouldn't.
They take
Just
our
generally.
money, they raise our taxes, they enrich their families, they you know what they do. We all know what they do. That's
I'm
why
sure
we're having
Nancy
this conversation.
Pelosi got all of her money like totally legitimately. It is doing
Uh,
super well compared to the market for totally legit reasons. That's
oh my God,
nothing sketchy going on there.
nothing sketchy going on.
All right, so we're totally out of time for the radio show. Again, thanks for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Take care. They can't see you waving on the radio, Tim.
Oh, bye, guys.
I'm leaving that in the show now, Tim.
Yeah, I don't want Bob to yell at me for going over time. He's great, man. He's so nice. He's so helpful. I think my segments yesterday got a little sketchy, and I tried to send him a clip that I wanted played at the beginning of the second segment because I left it time short, And he's just like, and so I guess I sent him 2 shows to do, which I'm like, I don't have any recollection of doing that. So I don't know. But he's so helpful.
No, man,
and so he produced the show and he made it work, and that's it. That's who he is.
I was a miracle worker.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I know man, a bunch of folks I have a couple guys I don't know if the guys a couple folks I have in a discussion about the Libertarian Party in the comments.
I think honestly, Kevin, I'm not sure if we should do it for the show, but I would like to hash out the reality of the Libertarian Party, and especially the National LP, and the situations of our messaging and things like that. And I'm very again, we get to this point where I'm like, well, let's support each other, but all we do is tear each other down. That's number one. Number two, we have a specific group of authoritarian libertarians who are very authoritarianly libertarian, and I don't enjoy them. I want to be honest. You know what I mean? It's I don't need a lecture. Okay. I'm here, man. I'm doing some work. I care about the people that I'm friends with. I'm going to do what I can to make them more successful. And so I don't say things perfectly, and I know I sound like a conservative, and I kind of am. I don't care. I don't even feel bad about it. I got here from being a conservative, truly small government conservative that realized that human rights are actually trump certain things. See how I work Trump in there? Trump certain things that people that are more important. Okay, you want to be who you are, you be who you are. I respect that. That's fine. I was also a liberal at some points in my life, so I don't know. But
all right, do you want to out yourself with any other terrible political opinions, Tim? They'll get you run out of the Libertarian Party. Okay,
yeah,
well,
good. In the Independence Party for a little bit, 5 seconds. It was totally like a scam, right? You went to, I want to be a registered independent, and all of a sudden you get something back.
So
from the DMV.
many people do that.
Congratulations, you're in the Independence Party.
I'm glad that party's.
The heck I am. That Golisano guy's a creep.
Interesting fella. That like definitely
I
big
shouldn't say
impact in
that.
the Rochester
Yeah.
area. No, I mean, yeah, maybe we could do like yeah. I don't think it's a good thing for the radio audience, right? Like your
Correct.
average, WYSL listener doesn't know squat about what's going on in
No,
the LP and the internal politics. Maybe our online audience to do that.
I would like to.
Again, if this is something you're interested in, online audience, you let us know. Like we'll discuss like the Libertarian Party stuff. Like, because I'm kind of at a point where, and I love my Libertarian friends, but like I want to spend time with my kid in the evenings. Like I put in a lot of work for the party. I'm out. I used to be out like every evening, every weekend, whether it's gathering signatures. Like there's one campaign where I personally gathered like 1,200 signatures for a candidate.
Wow, that's
Like,
awesome, bro.
like I put in the work and like, man, that but I'm tired. I'm like, I
Well,
I need I need
imagine
someone else to take over, and then, like, if I wanna do that, and then people are gonna call me not a real libertarian, I ain't got time for that anymore. I'm like, "Alright, cool, whatever, dude." Like,
you win. You win the argument. I'm not a real libertarian. I
"You
admit it.
got it. I'm gonna
Okay,
get off Facebook and
I'm
and hang out with my son." So,
yep, thanks. That's my out. Thank you.
yeah.
Like I'm not a real libertarian. I'm mostly a libertarian. I'm not anything else other than a libertarian. And I have no commitment or allegiances to other issues that are non-libertarian, right? Like gay rights are human rights, okay? Like all of that stuff. I'm so afraid of political correctness. Like I'm afraid I'll say gay the wrong way and somebody's gonna blow up my freaking who knows. You you know what I mean.
No, I mean, well, we've now produced so much radio content. We have definitely said something stupid and cancelable, like on accident at some point in time. It's just with someone has to go through and find all that stuff. So you have to go
Yeah.
through and listen to all them episodes of A Free Solution and find the nuggets of like stupidity that we've said. Like
They could
certainly was
they could cut some of my COVID comments into something that made me look like a total psychopath, probably. Like, because I talk about it a lot. And it's like, even I bore myself with it. But
all the COVID stuff. No, so I'm sure I've said something dumb, but like whatever. I don't know. I'll either apologize or like own it. Like at this point, I know like being canceled is like a thing. I'm not super worried at this point in time. And if someone's like just saying like you're being a jerk, then
we
yeah,
are. We
whatever.
are.
Yeah,
We're
sometimes
confronting.
sometimes I am. I try not to be. Sometimes I am.
Well, we're confronting their views, okay? And people look. I said it yesterday on the show. I gave up calling people names, and I gave up arguing. Like, ha, here's this, here's that, here's the digits, here's the receipts, and you're an idiot, and I could call you a multisyllabic insult. Like I've given up on that, right? Because it doesn't do anything. So I've given up on that, but that doesn't mean that people like what I say, and that doesn't mean that people have given up on that towards me, right? So,
Yeah, that's
oh,
like I said, the veteran libertarians like they know like man, the real work doesn't get done in the Facebook comment section sometimes. Like sometimes like it's not worth spending your time like and again, I know maybe some folks listening today are like you're in that and you're like, "Oh, I'm doing, this stuff here." And like sometimes you do, right? If you're having a good faith conversation with someone like and that's where like the direction's heading great. Like sometimes it's worth it. Other times like remember I talked to some of my activists who were like, "Oh, I'm so burned out because like I've just been defending, Gary Johnson online all day." And I'm like,
don't do it.
"Yo, I need you to go knock on doors. Like, to
That's more
go,
important.
yeah, like that's I go make a phone call. Like those people are winnable. The people online in the comment section, 90% of the time, they're just they're
They're
just
not
looking
even
there to
in.
start fighting. And half of them are like, libertarians who are just like, I'm not gonna vote this year. I'm like, all right, don't waste your time with that during election season. I need you to go out and like find someone who like does like Gary Johnson or does like Joe Jorgensen or
Yeah,
like whatever candidate. And like,
I made calls for Rich Bertel this year, and I feel like that's we're still alive, but I don't care.
mhm,
I feel like we could have done a little bit better for a guy like Rich Bertel. Like his race was winnable, and whatever. I'm always like we're always all kind of like this is what we should do, and then not really want to do it ourselves. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
everybody's like that. I get people give me great ideas. Like you know what you should do? Talk about this and do this, and I'm like, well, how about you take the lead on that? And then they're kind of like, I don't know how that works. I'm like,
Wow,
okay.
man, that's something. It would drive me nuts. I start like towards the end, like I knew I had to step away from being like a county chair for a while because people would do that, and they'd be like, "Kevin, I'm mad at the party because you're not doing this." I'm like, "Well, you can do this. You can do this thing, right? Like, so own this, go do this thing. And they'd be like, no, I'm mad at you. And like, and I'd get kind of mean about it.
Right.
I was like, all right, I need to not do that. But like, also, I'm kind of mad because like I ain't got time to do this thing because I'm doing 20 other things. So don't get mad at me for not doing this other stuff. But again, we do know what we need to do, but we need folks who are willing to go out and put in the work, again, to go talk to new folks who aren't connected to the party, to go to knock on doors, go to make the phone calls, go to do the sine waves, go to do, whatever, right? Do more than just like the social events are fun. I love the social events. You got to do more than that though. Like, cause social events are where you recharge. So you're ready to go out and do the work.
Oof, man.
I know,
like,
right?
All I do is work, bro.
Yeah. Right.
Like, literally. I'm not even kidding, and this is work, but I really enjoy it. So this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? So, and I enjoy physical labor. Like there's no, like, I know that sounds crazy, but there's no margin in me for not being physically active, at least until my very last day. Like, that's it. I like being physically active. So I have two competing issues, and I like being, I don't know. I like being popular, and that's hard.
Popular.
It's really a stress. It's really a stress.
I know, right?
Being as popular as this. All right, brother. Look,
it's called a night. Thanks for sticking with us. The folks who did stay on. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night, everyone.
What was that? Democracy Now? Demography Now. Okay.
We had
somebody with a Russian writing. Great. Congratulations. Big show today. Big show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, that looks like spam. No, we got a spam bot in there.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Man, you've made it when you get a spam bot. All right, bro. I'll see you later.
Take care, folks.